Hi everybody, and welcome to another episode of Sip and Simmer with me, Anita Manager. So I've been getting a lot of emails and messages on Facebook and everything asking for there to be a little bit more sip, a little bit more chat. So we restructured the format of the show, so tonight is going to be just a tiny bit longer and a little bit more fun. So before we begin today, I'm starting with my first new segment called Anita Minute. Tonight, all day, I was a little mentally under the weather, and there was no purpose for it, so I just wanted to do a little segment about mental health. When you're sick, you take medicine to make yourself feel better, and sometimes there isn't a medicine that you can take to make yourself feel better. And it's okay to work it out in your head, it's okay to talk to somebody, it's even more okay to talk to a doctor. What is important is that you show up for your emotions and express them. No matter how mundane or painful they can be, they will continue to manifest themselves in different ways throughout your life if you don't acknowledge them. It's normal and expected, and even more so, it's a human nature to have not so okay feelings. What's most important is that we don't judge ourselves and shame ourselves more than we would other people. It's completely okay to have feelings and emotions and express them differently. So that's a little bit of what I was going through today. I promise Anita Minute won't always be all drab, and it was just something that I was feeling today and I wanted to share my feelings with you. So, to move on, today I will be making a drink for myself and our guest, and I'll be making a lemon drop martini, but I'll be making it with limoncello. So, I've got my nice large shaker here, and in here I'm going to put, now I'm doubling this recipe because I'm making two. So, I've got 4 ounces of vodka. I have 4 ounces of limoncello. I've got 2 ounces of triple sec, and finally 1 ounce of lemon juice. And we're just gonna shake that up and pour it into our martini glasses. If you don't have martini glasses, obviously you can use any vessel to get the liquid into you, but I like using martini glasses. Make sure that you really shake it to mix everything up. Okay, so, and since our show last night, I fixed our little lid here, so it's gonna come off nice and easy. So I've got 2 glasses here. I'm gonna pour those. All right, and who wants to drink alone? So tonight, I'm gonna welcome back for the final evening of Bread Week, Miss Sienna Rose.
Why, hello there. Did you miss me? Did you think I wasn't coming back? Well, here I am.
Surprise.
Right? I like this new format. I get to chill out while she makes a drink. I just get to come right on and start sipping. This is amazing. Thank you so much.
And since we're both in front of you now, like we say every night, all of the proceeds from this does go to all of the ingredients that we need, all of the beverages that we absolutely need.
Mm-hmm.
So my Venmo is Anita_Manager.
And mine is Sienna Rose Official, just like the Instagram. Dang.
So if you feel inclined, please feel free, and we appreciate every penny. So,
with that being said,
cheers to a new
cheers.
format.
Yes. Whew.
That is a strong
Yes, that
drink.
is. Oh, wow. Lemony. I like it.
I went in for 2.
Yeah.
Okay, so another fun new thing is before we get to baking, we're going to have a little segment in between the introduction and the baking.
Right.
Tonight is What the Fact?
What'd you say?
Now, I would say you're pretty smart, right?
Some would say that.
You have a college degree.
That I do.
A bachelor's.
Uh-huh.
That makes you pretty smart.
Sure.
So I have 3 questions for you, and you're just
boy.
going to tell me if they're true or false.
Okay, I can do that.
Okay. Is there such a thing as a unicorn hunting license?
A unicorn hunting license?
Mm-hmm.
There better not be.
There sure is.
What? No.
I swear.
Uh-uh.
Lake Superior State University in Michigan offers a class on unicorn hunting, and they provide a license at the end of the course.
I need to see a syllabus. I need to see a syllabus for this.
Isn't that ridiculous?
That is really ridiculous.
The guy who runs the program says unicorn hunting is very lonely.
I don't even know what to say to that. I really don't.
Isn't that ridiculous?
Yes.
Okay, so this one
I
is
need a drink after that.
also based on college.
Okay.
Because I didn't go very long.
Okay.
So
I was physically there. I physically graduated.
So I'm living through you in the university life.
Okay.
Okay. Who do you believe has a higher acceptance rate? Harvard University or applying at Walmart?
Well, because this is what the fact, I'm gonna go with a higher acceptance rate.
Yep.
I'm gonna go with Harvard.
Harvard has a 4.5 acceptance rate.
Okay.
Walmart has a 2.6.
Oh.
Isn't
That's quite the fact.
So out of every 100 people, 2, maybe 3 people get accepted at Walmart.
Okay.
And 4 to 5 get accepted at Harvard. Isn't that crazy?
That is really crazy.
I was expecting the numbers to be completely different.
Because I've seen some of the people that work at Walmart.
Alright, and this is my favorite one.
Mm-hmm.
How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop?
Oh, God. I remember this commercial.
Well, the commercial says 1, 2, 3, so I'll give you that.
Can you give me a little hint? Is it like a really high number or is it like a decent number?
It is not ridiculous.
It's not ridiculous. Okay. How many, are we talking just lollipop the tongue? Does it go in the mouth? Does it swirl around the mouth? What are we talking about?
I'll give you a little bit more information.
Okay.
Purdue University created a machine that they deem the licking machine.
Do they loan it out?
And they ran this machine for hours.
Okay.
To get to the number.
Well, I'm glad the battery lasts. Okay. Wait, but I got confused. What'd you say?
How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop?
I'm gonna say... You said they ran it for hours, right?
Yep.
So it's more than what I was thinking. Okay. Let's go with... No, Tootsie Pop. 317.
I am shook that you are this close.
Oh! What is it? 3?
So my guess was around 1,000.
Okay.
They're hard candies.
I know, my out there guess is going to be like 647, so I toned it down almost halfway. Okay.
So
maybe, I don't know. I can't do math. I
364.
ain't mad at that.
Right?
Okay. 1 lick a day, and you'll have your lollipop in a year.
Facts like this make me question why I didn't go to school. What class were you taking that you said, I'm going to make a licking machine to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop?
I don't know, but I want to go back to school for that class only.
Family friendly.
Family friendly.
Alright, so make sure all of you comment and let me know what you think about the first few segments that we did. Let me know if you like them. Like I said, What the Fact is not going to be an every episode thing, but it's going to be one of the segments that I'm going to be switching in.
Right, and also if you have a strange fact that you would like to share, Aaron, Myolo, you can always, comment below.
We are going to be making focaccia.
What'd you call me?
It's actually one of my favorite breads and one that I have the most difficult time with.
Okay.
So
it's going to be near impossible for me.
Yes.
Got it.
So, I am going to
Thanks, Chris.
Be honest, and I did fudge up the beginning.
Okay.
So, I always have a final product prepared to show everybody, and I had to do it twice.
Twice.
So, make sure that you follow the directions precisely. Bread is very easy to mess up, and just make sure that everything that you're doing is following the steps, because if you try and shortcut, it's not going to come out right. Trust me. Okay.
I feel like every night on Bread Week we've been upping the ante to the most difficult. Right? We started small with rolls. We went longer with breadsticks, and then we went challah to white. You know, we made like, I felt like we had 10 loaves of white bread in this house.
Oh my god.
And now we're doing
Focaccia.
There we go. Yep.
Okay. Hi, Mom. Thanks for watching. Okay. So, with your focaccia, you want to make sure that you do a few things. It is.
Okay, because I'm saying this sounds very Italian.
It comes from the land of focaccia.
Can you, whenever you say focaccia, you can go
That's
focaccia.
It's not.
Can you just?
That's not true. I'm just lying.
Is that Italian?
No, it is Italian, but it does not come from the land focaccia.
Oh.
Okay, so again, a lot of bread people don't realize are vegan. There's not a lot of egg in breads.
Okay.
So this is another vegan recipe.
Cute.
So that's a little fun fact. What the fact? Hashtag that. Okay, so what I have here is I have 2.5 cups of flour. I've got a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and I'm just gonna pour that straight in now so I don't forget later. Okay, so from here, I'm going to stop because
Hammer time?
we have something that we need to do first, and that is going to be Sienna's job. So the fun part about focaccia is when you are starting it, you're gonna make an herbed oil. We're going to be using olive oil.
Okay.
I suggest you use olive oil because it has more flavor.
Mm-hmm.
But what you want to do is make the herbed oil before you start making the dough because you're going to want to put it in before the yeasted water.
Okay.
Okay. So we've learned we're putting our pots on the back burner so we don't melt.
Right.
So in the pot, Sienna is going to put all of the herbs and the oil all at the same time. Do you want to take over?
Sure. All of the herbs and all of the oil. Okay.
To your left.
So, right over here, this is 1/2 cup of EVOO, which is extra virgin olive oil. I learned that from Rachel Ray. Thanks, Rachel. Okay. So that goes in there. Then this is, nope, we're gonna go with this one. This is 2 cloves of garlic. Plop those right up in there.
So before she goes on, I'm not gonna lie, we love garlic in this house.
We do.
The recipe calls for 2 cloves. I put 4. And
Okay.
for all of my baking recipes and cooking recipes, I use minced garlic because A, it's cheaper, and B, it's a lot easier to keep. Garlic does not last that long, and yes, I use it by the handful. I like to be able to keep it in the refrigerator and take it out when I need it.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm using something that calls for like roasted garlic, I'll do that myself. But just buying the jar of minced garlic is a money saver, a time saver, a life saver. So yes, you want to use minced garlic for this.
Yes. Okay. Then we're also going to put in 1 teaspoon of thyme. And these are all the same color, so can you please show me which one is the thyme? They are in order. Okay. So this one is the thyme. We're going to put that right up in here. Everything is like a pale green. I don't know my spices. Jasmine, spices. This right here is 1 teaspoon of rosemary. And this is 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. Okay, now with all of our spices in the mix, our wooden spoon, we're gonna turn the stove on to what kind of temperature? High heat?
We're gonna do it medium.
Medium heat, okay. And we're gonna give this a nice little stir.
Okay, so when you're doing this, if you do it ahead of time, you can put all of your herbs in the oil and let it sit for like 3 or 4 days. Nobody has time for that.
Right.
If you put it in a pot and just throw everything in at the same time, you can get it done in just a couple of minutes. The second that the oil starts to bubble, you're gonna wanna turn it off and it's ready. So also what you can do is if you don't want any crunchy bits in your dough or in your bread when it's finished, what you can do is you can just run this through some muslin. And that's just gonna take out all the herbs and stuff, but the flavors are still gonna be there. I like to leave it in because it gives it a little bit of texture and a little bit of color, because focaccia is just white on the inside, a little bit golden on the outside, and that's pretty much it.
Ooh, this smells good already.
Right?
I like garlic.
Alright, so can you hear it?
I do.
The second that
Maybe
you
nervous
start
for a
to
second.
hear the oil start to sizzle,
Turn it down.
you're done.
Oh, we're
Nope,
done.
that's
Oh,
it.
we're done.
Yep, and you can just
Oh.
remove it straight from the heat.
Okay.
The most important thing is you don't want your garlic to start to turn brown. Once the garlic starts to turn brown, you're gonna lose that flavor. Garlic is a very pungent flavor, but also it dissipates very quickly.
Right.
So, that's done. That's it.
Oh, perfect. Look at that.
Okay.
Now I get to sit more.
From here, I'm going to take my flour and salt mixture. And I'm going to put in just a little bit. I'm going to put in about half a cup.
Okay. Now on your stand mixer over here, we also have which hook attachment?
We have the Captain hook.
Yes, my favorite.
Also known as the dough hook.
Yes.
Okay. So, in our attachment over here, in our stand mixer over here, we have about half a cup, between half a cup and a full cup of flour. You don't want to have too much because you want to be able to add it in gradually once you have the yeasted water in it and the oil and blah, blah, blah.
I agree, 100%.
So, over here, excuse me. Absolutely, Adrian, that's a great question. Yes. Anytime you find a recipe that calls for something to filter oil or filter any kind of liquid, you can absolutely use a coffee filter, but just be careful. If you use the triangle ones, the seams do come apart easily. I would suggest using the ones that kind of look like a basket.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, so the most important thing is that you're just getting the stuff out of it and that the whatever you're using is fine enough to actually let the oil come through it. So you could also use a sieve, which is just like that wire basket kind of thing that you use as a strainer. It's not a strainer, it's more used for like sifting flour and stuff like that. But yes, coffee filters are a great substitute.
Perfect.
Okay, so over here I have a cup of warm water. Do you know what temperature that the water is supposed to be for yeast?
I believe it's between 100 and 110 degrees.
She pays attention.
Look at me learning. Ew.
Beautiful and educated. So in the warm water before I put the yeast, I stirred in half a teaspoon of honey. Now, like I said yesterday, you want to have some sort of sugar factor to your water to feed your yeast. So while this is still processing and eating, I'm going to take about a quarter of a cup of the oil and I'm going to pour that into the bowl here.
Okay.
You should absolutely measure everything. I'm measuring right now. So I'm just going to say that 2 wooden spoonfuls is a quarter of a cup.
Yeah, why not?
Okay. Like I said, I want all of the herbs and stuff inside my bread. At this point, what you would do is you would just pour the oil through your straining device.
The muslin or the coffee filter.
Sieve, to remove all of that stuff. It does not give it as much flavor, but all of your flavor is already in the oil. So, what I'm going to do is, I'm not even going to bother turning this on because there's really not enough stuff for the dough hook to get in there. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to get all of the flour mixed in to the oil before I pour the yeast water in there. You want to make sure that you don't leave it clumpy because it's not going to mix properly.
Okay.
So at this point, it's kind of just going to look like Play-Doh. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh yeah.
All right. So that means that we're in a good spot to start adding the yeast to this.
Okay.
Perfect.
Put it back on the mixer.
Always listen for the clank. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pour the yeast, honey, and water over my oil and flour mixture.
Now, is there a reason you're using honey instead of just sugar?
The honey has a little bit different of a flavor to it. And when, actually, I did read this. When the recipe was actually created, it was created in a part of Italy that had a lot of bees and they had a lot of honey in that area. So that's why they used honey as opposed to sugar.
Nice.
You can use sugar, but honey definitely gives it A, more of a golden color, and B, a little bit more of a flavor.
The more you know.
I do my research.
You do. I'm proud of you.
What the fact?
Make sure you hashtag that.
Okay, so what you're gonna do at this point is, because the oil is warm, the water is warm, this is the point where you're gonna take a break.
Say no more.
Have a chat with a girlfriend, pick up your kitchen phone with a long cord, and you're gonna wait for 5 minutes.
5 minutes, okay. I can do that.
But also, this is TV, so...
A little bit of magic.
TV. I'm not going to fully wait the 5 minutes. I am going to wait a minute just so that the oil and flour start to break down a little bit into the water. But from here, what we're going to do is you're going to add the flour like a tablespoon at a time. And what that's going to do is it's going to slowly build the dough together. If you add the flour too quickly, it's going to make your job a lot harder when you're kneading the dough. That's why you add it slower. Because what it's doing is it's activating the gluten.
Oh, okay.
Okay? Alright, so we're gonna pretend that 5 minutes has passed, and I'm gonna turn this bad boy back on.
Okay.
Oh, it looks lovely.
Thanks for joining us.
Okay. So I'm just gonna use my little ramekin here to measure.
Okay, you're putting in what, more flour?
More flour, right. So at this point what we're doing is we're just trying to combine the dry ingredients to the wet ingredients. Okay.
You don't want to pour all the flour in at once, you want to do it little by little.
Right.
Okay.
Because that's what's building up the elasticity in the gluten.
Got it.
In the beginning, don't wait for it to fully mix together. These drinks are so strong.
They are. Really good though.
Don't wait for it to completely mix together because you will be here for a year and a day.
Okay.
It's super liquidy between the water and the oil. So you're really not going to get everything coming together until the very end.
But I mean, if you're going to be here for a year and a day, just get a blow pop and you're satisfied.
A Tootsie Pop.
What? Isn't it the same thing?
And that would be like 1 lick a day.
Well. Okay.
Alright. So this is starting to come together now.
Is the dough getting thicker?
Is that the word of the day or just the word?
It's the word of the week.
Okay. So, what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to turn up the speed on the mixer.
Okay.
And that's really just going to break up any dry parts of the flour that are left.
Now, Anita, for those of our viewers at home who are just tuning in, what are we making tonight?
We are making an herb oil focaccia.
Yes.
If you have any issues with the herbs that we've used, or if you don't want herbs, you can absolutely do this without any herbs, but it's just a plain dough in that case.
Okay.
I mean, a wet plain dough, but...
Right. And to pair with our focaccia tonight, we have our limoncello lemon drops.
And I'm telling you, these are a lot stronger than
They are. Even I'm taking it easy, so you know she's a little heavy-handed tonight, but they're delicious either way.
Okay, so depending on the moisture in the air, you want to add a little bit more flour, and I'm gonna need a little bit more flour in here because it was raining all day and there's moisture in here.
Okay.
So I'm gonna use my dusting flour for this.
Ooh. So now we're gonna need some more dusting flour.
Yes.
Okay, for later on.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so now it's starting to come together. Okay. So if you wouldn't mind just grabbing me the flour so I can add just a little bit more.
Of course. I think... Oh, look at that. It magically appeared right here, our flour. Now I'm going to get you some more dusting flour. Do you need any more flour in the mixture?
I do, just a little bit.
Okay. Is that enough?
That's perfect.
Cool.
There you go. Okay, so, and I'm also not gonna lie, when you are kneading this, you're gonna need at least half a cup of flour on the counter. This is a very moist dough, and I hate that word so much, but there's no other way of describing it. It's a moist dough. So what you're gonna do is, once this is all come together, is you are going to turn it out on a
Yes, turn it out.
service. Okay, so if we can move our drinks.
Okay, we'll sip them before we move them.
I need to think ahead when picking the drinks, because this is so strong.
But it's so good.
Okay. So typically when I'm dusting my surfaces, you can just throw it on with your hand. I like to use a fork because it makes it a little bit lighter.
Okay.
You can always add more flour later, but you don't want to dry your dough out. That's... I'm gonna say the M word again. You don't want to just have a dry dough. It's just bad.
What?
Okay. So, when you take it out, it should look a little Play-Doh-y.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, you're gonna get more flour into it as you need it. So I'm gonna put a little on my hands, my clean, washed hands.
Oh, yes.
And then I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit more on top. And then I'm just gonna start to knead it and bring more flour into it. So this is the most important part for focaccia. You really wanna make sure that you knead it a lot. You're gonna be kneading this for at least 8 to 10 minutes.
This dough is kneadier than I am, and that's saying something.
So the reason that you're kneading it is because it's pretty flat. When you're baking it, you're gonna be putting it into a cookie dish, and you want it to be about 1 inch deep and 13 by 9. So it's going to raise a lot during its first prove. I mean, the second you turn it out, it's gonna flatten out a lot. But there's a lot of gas in this because there is so much moisture.
So when you say first prove, we're gonna prove this dough twice?
Yep. Most of the doughs that we've done this week, you're gonna prove twice because you're proving it once to really get the yeast
Activated? Rising? Leaven? Something? Help?
You know, I'm not even gonna lie, I don't know why you prove it twice, but...
Okay. It
But-
just works better.
Yeah, so most bread recipes, when you're making them completely from scratch like this, you're gonna prove them twice. The first prove, you're gonna do it in a greased bowl, and that is just gonna get like all of that gluten really activated. And then the second one is just to, you're gonna already shape it. So like if you were doing rolls, you would do your first prove as a whole, and then you would cut the rolls into its pieces and then prove it again. So that way you get more air back into the dough.
Makes sense.
So we're gonna pretend that I needed?
Yeah, what's the verb? Verb?
I don't know. There's a whole bunch
Yeah.
of E's in that word. We're gonna pretend like I needed this for 10 minutes.
Okay. With
I
some
mean,
TV magic?
It's really not that off from what it's gonna look like. But there's just not as much flour in it, so it's gonna just be a little bit more wet. Can't wait for bread week to be over.
Right?
I've been using a lot of words that I don't like. Okay, so this is pretty much what it's gonna look like. And I'm going to put this in a glass bowl.
Okay.
And I'm gonna make sure, so 9 times out of 10, what do I use on my bowls when I'm raising the bread?
Crisco?
Crisco, right, it's a vegetable shortening. Tonight what I'm doing, since there's already olive oil in the dough, excuse me, since there's already olive oil in the dough, what I did was I lined the bowl with,
Let me grab you a bowl.
no, I'll just grab,
Oh, that works too.
yes.
With some TV magic.
Alright, so I've already lined this bowl with olive oil because there's already olive oil in the dough. It's just easy to reuse the same
Olive oil or
flavors.
Crisco?
Olive
Both.
oil. Just olive oil.
Oh, okay.
Right. So, this is, so I did this one a little early, so this one has sat for a little bit too long. So it should double to 1.5 times its size.
Okay, this is like
This is
quadruple.
like triple.
That's a lot of bread.
But it should be fine because the moment that I put my finger through it,
What's gonna happen?
this is the last day of bread week, I promise. Once I release the gases, it's gonna go back to its state. So it's not gonna be as big as it is now.
Oh, I see. It's already going down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so the most important thing is you are going to put this onto a floured surface. If you don't put this onto a floured surface, it is going to stick everywhere and you're going to have no bread left. So I'm gonna get this guy to the side.
Okay.
I'm gonna make sure that I have a ton of flour out.
Do you need more?
No, this is perfect.
Okay.
So I'm gonna turn this out.
Gas, turn it out.
Would you mind just throwing that guy in there?
Of course.
Okay, so typically what I do when I...
Do we need it? Oh!
We'll just put the dough in the bowl.
Well, you said, okay, well, I try.
So for lighter breads, what I do is I cover the top of the bowl with saran wrap.
Okay.
And for more dense breads, I cover it with a damp cloth.
So this is a lighter one.
Yes.
So we're going to use saran wrap.
Perfect. So this is going to go to the side. I'm going to cover that in saran wrap, and I'm going to let that sit for a full hour.
Okay.
This one doesn't need as much heat as like a white bread or a challah. So I don't put this one on the couch wrapped in blankets like I do with the other ones. I just put it to the side in my kitchen. I put a towel underneath it and a towel over it, and it'll be fine.
Okay.
So to get back to this one, okay. So I'm just going to knead it just a little bit. And then I'm going to take my 9x13 pan.
Which was pre-greased, right?
Perfect.
Yes.
Yes. What we're gonna do is we're gonna add a little bit more of our herb oil.
Yeah, right into the pan.
And it's gonna go straight into the pan. And then my little trick, I use a little bit of gold. Now, you can use a pastry brush. I find that if you use a paper towel, it absorbs enough of the oil. That way there's not like a big layer and you don't fry the bread.
Right.
But also it leaves enough behind so the bread doesn't actually stick to the pan. So, literally, the most important part of this is you want to make sure that you get into the corners. Here, I'll take it for you.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah.
Perfect.
I really put a little elbow grease into the corners because this dough, we're going to really smash it out. And I can't.
What are we gonna do?
We're gonna press the dough. But we're gonna make sure that we get it to all of the edges of the pan because it's going to raise a lot. It's not gonna spread a lot. I cannot wait.
So easy.
I can't wait for bread week to be over. The innuendos of this week have been
live for it.
in abundance.
Now, Anita, once bread week is over, what do our viewers have to look forward to next week?
So next week we are going to have an all-American week.
Ooh.
Right?
What does that mean?
So last week we did International Week. This week we did Bread Week, which was a mix of international and...
Because all these recipes were recipes from around the world.
So, I don't know if I worded it correctly in our posts, but these have been requests from all around the world. The focaccia was actually a request from somebody who watches in Russia. The white bread was a request for somebody that watches in the UK. So...
Hello!
So the requests have actually been from all around the world, but the bread's origins have been either from the US or all around the world. So I feel like that was a good segue into being an all-American week.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, that works.
Okay, so once we've degassed our bread and kneaded it a little bit in a little bit extra flour, we're going to put it into our pan and we're just going to smash it out. And we're going to stretch it. And it really doesn't matter how you do this, just as long as you get it into all of the different parts of the pan. Just like that. If you make any holes, this is a really forgiving bread. You can literally just pinch it back together. So
it should all be an even thickness, stretching the entire pan?
No, it doesn't have to be even.
Okay.
So the best part about focaccia is, one, it fluffs a lot. And two, the point of it is for it to be uneven.
Okay.
So, once you get it completely spread out, I mean, obviously you don't have any place where you can see the pan, but once you have it pretty evenly spread out, this is where you go back and use your fingertips and you just create a bunch of divots.
So you're going to aerate the bread.
Exactly. Perfect. So, like I said, this is going to fluff up a ton. So, before we let this prove one more time, we're going to take another
Yes, make America delicious again. That's the only appropriate use of that phrase.
Okay, so we're gonna take the rest of our oil.
Mm-hmm. I'm just gonna spread it all over the top of the focaccia.
Exactly. What you want to do is you want to make sure that you get it into all those little punctures that you made with your fingertips.
So that way the oil really seeps through the whole dough.
Exactly. It's a pretty wet bread.
Oh, that wasn't as bad as I was expecting. Okay.
When you bake it, a lot of this oil is going to be absorbed into it, but also it's going to sit on top and it's going to get a really nice glisten.
Ooh.
It's a really pretty bread. You'll see in a second. So what we're going to do is no cover on this at all.
None.
You're going to leave this straight on your counter for 20 minutes.
Okay.
And then you're going to bake it in your oven at 450 for 15 to 20 minutes. If you have a gas oven, I would really keep an eye on it after the 15 minutes because it does burn pretty quickly because of the oil on top.
Okay.
So 15 minutes, anything after 15 minutes, keep an eye on it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna put this onto the counter to prove.
And with some TV magic, dun, da, 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 we have our already baked focaccia bread that has been cooling on a wire rack, just like that.
Okay, just like all of our other breads, the best way to tell if it's all the way cooked through.
Flip it over and tap the bottom.
Right. So this one, you just want to dough on my finger.
Oh.
This one is it's a softer dough, but if your finger goes through,
okay.
I almost said a P word. That means that it's not done. You want to make sure that it's a little bit crunchy on the outside, but it's going to be really soft on the inside. So we have no soggy bottoms here.
No soggy bottoms. And this is a beautiful golden brown that's from the honey, correct?
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So, would you mind grabbing me a knife?
Of course, a bread knife?
Yeah.
Look at that.
No. We're changing things up.
No.
One more, all the way over to the side.
Nope. It's...
I'll take a steak knife because it's serrated.
Well, okay.
Okay.
Closest thing that we have at the moment.
Cute. Okay, so from now on, I promise that we will be showing you our finished product so that way you can see what it's like from start to finish.
Yes. And I think we should maybe taste it.
Should we taste that?
Let's taste it with our lemon, what is this? Limoncello lemon drop martini.
Hold on a second. I'm just
A
gonna...
little more.
Oh.
A little more. Yeah. Oh, we got top me off too?
We have a lot of alcohol in these bottles.
Oh, we do. We went through the first one, so cheers.
Cheers. Okay. So what we're gonna do, there should be a nice crunch on the outside, but the knife should really slide through
Just
on the
glide
inside.
through it. Ooh, that looks beautiful.
So you're gonna have a lot of air bubbles. You're gonna be nice and golden on the bottom and nice and golden on the outside. The most important thing is you wanna look at the bottom of the bread and make sure that it's not dense. If it's dense, that means it's not
done. It's still raw.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, what kind of bread would you serve this with? Like, what's a good meal to pair with this bread?
I mean, focaccia can be a meal on its own.
Okay.
It's absolutely delicious. But also, I would definitely go probably with a poultry dish because it's nice and light. You don't want something really heavy with it.
Okay.
So, you want to have a taste?
Let's do it.
I'm not going to bite it. I'm going to tear it. I'm wearing a lot of lipstick.
Okay. Let's see here. Oh, that tore so easily. Mmm. Nice, light, fluffy. You really get that garlic flavor. It's
right?
delicious.
You get the flavor of all of the herbs and everything, but it's very light and aromatic. It's not like a very heavy flavor. Right?
Not like a dense bread where it's like bread. You know, like bread.
Right.
This is nice and light.
Also, my favorite part to do with this is to go back into the pot with all that leftover oil.
Oh, dipping oil?
Get a little bit extra.
Let me just... Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's delicious.
Okay. So, you can absolutely make this into a pizza.
Ooh. Can we do a pizza week?
This is pretty much what Sicilian pizza is. And then you're just gonna throw your toppings on top. Excuse me. If you really want to get like that true Sicilian pizza, what you want to do is you want to completely bake it as it is now, and then put your sauce, cheese, and then bake it again only until the cheese is melted, and then take it out.
Okay, easy enough.
Yeah, it's super, super simple. I do not suggest using focaccia dough as pizza dough and putting your toppings on and then baking it, because the cheese will create a layer and it won't be fully cooked on the inside.
Oh.
If you want to make like a Sicilian dough pizza or a Sicilian pizza and use pizza dough, just double your dough and put it in a cookie sheet.
Makes sense.
But if you want to do it with focaccia, bake the focaccia first, let it cool, and then make your pizza on top.
Got it.
Alright, so I think that concludes today.
That concludes today, and that also concludes Bread Week.
I do love bread, but I am
Me
so
too.
happy that this week is over. It's been
Right.
so much work.
I'm ready for more delectable, just ooey gooey goodness.
Yeah, I mean, we also might be including some not so desserty foods.
Okay, we're branching out.
You know?
We're, expanding.
She's a businesswoman and
Oh,
she just
yeah.
wants to experience the whole array of cooking.
Okay, let's get into it.
So thank you for completing our 3rd week of Sip and Simmer with us.
Can you believe it's been 3 weeks already?
Can you believe that it's been 4 weeks that I've been at home?
Well, I mean, spending every night with you all definitely helps and makes quarantine feel more connected and a lot better.
Oh, I would have been completely lost if it wasn't for all of you and watching tonight.
Without this, she would have been in our backyard just wandering around. We would have found her just staring at the sun.
So I really appreciate all of you for watching. I appreciate all of you for your donations. And again, my Venmo is Anita_Manager.
And mine is Sienna Rose Official. Thank you so much for welcoming us into your homes, onto your TVs, onto your phones, having a drink and some food with us. It's been a magical week. And so with that, cheers, Anita.
Cheers to Bread Week. We'll see you
Yes.
next week for All American.
Yes, see you then. Bye.